Welcome, folks, to episode 2 of WWE Network and Chill, presented by Graham Gius and Matthews, where right here on WWE Network and Chill, we fire up our WWE Network accounts and check out all the original programming on WWE Network. And as we talked about in the pilot episode of WWE Network and Chill, I will be covering Breaking Ground over the next few episodes. I talked about the first episode in the first episode of WWE Network and Chill, and today we're talking about episode 2. So like I talked about, it would probably serve you justice if you checked out the first episode first, obviously, so you could set the stage for the second episode. That was a 20-minute long video, 20-minute long review. This review probably will not nearly be as long. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. But in a nutshell, not to say that you don't have to watch the first video after I say this, but in that first video I talked about how much I love this show. The concept, the way it's structured, everything about this show I really enjoy. The way they break it down, give a behind-the-scenes look at the way things run in developmental, NXT, WWE. We got even a bigger taste of that, more of a taste of that on this show. So kicking off the show, like I said, we ended the first episode with a bit of a cliffhanger, a bit of a tease that someone would be let go. Tino Sabatelli, Nymph, maybe Devin Taylor. In the end, it was Devin Taylor. If you watched the show as it aired back in the late fall of 2015, you were probably not surprised if you followed the internet as much as I have and many other people too. Devin Taylor was cut over Columbus Day weekend, I believe. I remember reading that and being kind of surprised because she had been doing, she had been a regular on NXT TV as an interviewer for so long. Like I said in my previous video, for almost 2 years. So to see her get cut short was kind of surprising, and after watching, Breaking Ground episodes 1 and 2, we kind of know why. Because she wasn't, according to Tensai, despite the fact that Sarah Del Rey was her biggest advocate, we weren't, Tensai wasn't really all that sold on Devin Taylor. Not that she didn't have a good look, or she wasn't that great, or that she wasn't, that she was terrible or whatever. She just really wasn't making the strides that she should have been at that point in her career. Having been in NXT for over 2 years, and really not showing the improvement that she needed to. That, in addition to the fact that she was injury prone, they needed to let her go. So Canyon Ceman, still one of the weirdest and wackiest names I've ever heard in wrestling, who I believe is their talent relations guy or whatever his title is. He invites her into his office, gets no bullshit, gets right down to the chase. He goes, and you know why I'm in here to let you go. I'm sorry, but I do want to let you know you got to leave here with your head held high. You've held yourself with a lot of professionalism here in NXT. We appreciate what you've done. You've brought a lot of life to NXT, and we appreciate all the work that you put in to honing your craft here at WWE. So they let her down. He's kind of a dick, but you got to be a dick. It's really not easy letting someone go, but he did it with the best. He did do it with the best of class, so I can't really fault him for that. But not really a shocking opening to the show, but it was a bit eye-opening, and to me, it was kind of weird. And I might have said this when the show initially aired, when this episode initially aired. To me, if you're Devin Taylor, I feel so bad for the girl. She walks out, she cuts a pro, she, does one of those sit-down interviews talking about, it is what it is. I just got to better myself and my dreams are over or whatever. You just feel so bad. It's not like she stormed out of there. We would get one of those later on in the season. I can't wait to talk about that with one of the other top prospects, not one of the other top prospects, but one of the other rookies in NXT who gets cut short, gets let loose. And he does not hold himself with as much respect as Devin Taylor does here. But I feel so bad. They film the whole thing. They show herself crying as she's driving out of the parking lot in NXT. Not even saying goodbye to anyone else before she takes off. I feel so bad. Like, why the hell would you film something like that? I guess she knows that it was probably for the show. She probably knew it was for the show. I just felt so bad for her. I felt like that was kind of a dick move. But anyway, we move forward from there to our first real big focus of this episode of Breaking Ground, the tryout camps. And you see a lot of familiar faces. For the most part, you see a lot of people from the latest season of Tough Enough. You see Mata at one point. You see when they're doing the introductions, and you see Sami Zayn and Tyler Breeze and Bayley all talking to the talent. You see Amanda, who is now Mandy on Total Divas. You see Sarah Lee, you see Josh, who we get to know a little bit more in the rest of the season. ZZ gets introduced in this episode, so a big Tough Enough flavor on this episode of Breaking Ground. But for the most part, you do see old Tough Enough familiar faces from the show. You see Daria from that latest season of Tough Enough. But you also see Siena, the current TNA Knockouts champion. I don't know if she's Knockouts champion by the time this episode goes up in late July. I'm recording this in late June. But she is now in TNA. That was a weird thing to see. Obviously, I had no idea who she was when this episode first aired late in late fall. She only recently signed with TNA a few short months ago. Siena, the current TNA Knockouts champion. So it was a bit interesting to see her. in the tryout camp. I guess she went to a tryout camp, obviously wasn't hired, and went to TNA instead, and she's really been doing a lot of great work over there, so congrats to Siena for doing some really good work over there. But anyway, so it's cool to see her. But the tryout camps, and I get asked this all the time, like, obviously I really want to be a writer for WWE. To be a commentator would be even cooler. It's not my ultimate goal, but that'd be a cool side job, or a ring announcer or something. But people ask me all the time, would you ever want to be a wrestler for WWE, or just a wrestler, period? But after seeing shit like this, not to say that my dream was ever to be a WWE wrestler, because I know my body, I know that's really kind of beyond my limits, that I'm really just not physically capable of the things that they're able to do in the ring. I just can't, honestly. But even watching stuff like this, what they have to go through cardio-wise, I knew after watching this, I would never be able to do what they do. I really commend their efforts, because you see the tryout camps, you see people puking and tired, and people just out of shape. It's just incredible the workouts they have to go through. Probably more rigorous or vigorous, or whatever the hell the word is, rigorous, than any other sport and any other athlete that they have to go through than the wrestling. I feel like WWE really has it down pat in terms of what they have to put these people through. It's just one of the most rigorous workouts you can ever put anyone through. It's just absolutely insane and intense. You really gonna get a feel for that in this episode of Breaking Ground. So that was pretty crazy. But throughout the tryout camps, there is one part. I wrote something down here in my notes. Let me see. There is one girl that is also kind of sad to see. You don't get a huge backstory on this girl, but Canyon Seaman pulls one of the girls to the side and says, your dreams are over. Not word for word saying that, but he does say, we got to let you loose. You have scoliosis. The rod in your back does not allow you to continue this camp, according to our doctors. There's really no excuses. I'm sorry. So she gets cut loose. It's kind of sad to see her dreams get cut short. So that was sad. But later on in the tryout, I thought this was hysterical watching it the first time around. So William Regal is in charge, and Robbie Brookside too, for the most part, along with some help from Elias Sampson and Billy Kay and a few others. But by and large, the camp is being run by William Regal. And one of the things he teaches them early on, he's like, okay, just do this. It's rolling backward and then putting your left foot forward in a fighting stance. But no one is doing it. You can see William Regal, slowly getting increasingly more frustrated with these recruits, and that they're not doing what he's telling them to do. And it's such a simple thing. And I realize when you're in the moment, it's not the first thing going through your head is to put your first foot forward. And most of the people were like putting their foot back, or leaping up, or jumping to the side, or doing punches or whatever. But no one was putting their left foot forward. And Regal at first was saying, "Okay, do this, do this, do this," and then he got really pissed and said, "Am I just am I just malnourished of learning, you people, or am I like what's going on here? Are you people not comprehending what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure last time I checked, I speak English. Why aren't you people comprehending what I'm saying?" And he got really, really pissed. And finally, they got it. They finally did it. But it's just so funny to see, like, no one was fucking doing it. Just put your left foot forward. It was such a process for such a simple thing to do. And I thought it was hilarious watching it back. But I really felt for Regal in those few moments that he was just so pissed at these people for not doing what he set out to do. And that's a part of being a WWE superstar. If you're not coachable, they don't fucking want you. You need to be coachable. You need to be able to do what they tell you to do. And it's not like they're telling you to, like Regal said, they're not telling you to fall on your head. It's just fucking putting your foot for your that's a tongue twister. Your left foot forward. It's so simple. But no one was doing it. And if you're not listening, if you're not coachable, they don't fucking want you. So that's one of the main aspects, one of the biggest lessons they kind of hammer home in this episode of Breaking Ground. So like in the first episode, we got to focus on Devin Taylor, Nymph, Baron Corbin. We see a little bit of Baron Corbin here, not so much. Tino Sabatelli. In the second episode, we get more into the life of Dana Brooke. They show her training. They show her how she kind of got into the business through bodybuilding. They show her doing beauty stuff, like kind of getting her eyebrows arched and stuff. Don't really give a shit about that. But the training stuff is commendable. Dana Brooke, Tensai is not the biggest fan of her. He does say that a lot like Devin Taylor, that her fate is sealed if her wrestling. Or it wasn't Tensai, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it was Sarah Del Rey. She says that if Dana Brooke doesn't get better, if she doesn't show improvement, she's going to meet the same fate as Devin Taylor, which is kind of scary. I mean, at this point, she's on the main roster, so she has nothing to worry about. But even now, she's just not getting all that much better in the ring. She has certainly improved, compared to a year ago, but she still has a long, long ways to go. Dana Brooke is a good character. She's a good talent, but she still needs to get a lot better in the ring before she can really be considered a true superstar in a real player in WWE's women's division. So we get a nice little focus on her, not really as, eye-opening or as groundbreaking as the expose on Baron Corbin from the first episode, but still kind of get to know the other side of Dana Brooke that we didn't really see before. And on TV, you kind of see her as this bitch, as this kind of this mean girl character, but on this episode of Breaking Ground, you kind of see her as the person that she is. So that was pretty cool. You kind of see her as a human being, getting her eyes, her eyebrows done and stuff like that. So we also get more of a focus on ZZ in this episode. He is introduced to the Breaking Ground audience. If you did not watch Tough Enough, I fully implore that you should, which is also on the network, which I also might review at some point. Tough Enough, the latest season, maybe the 2011 season 2, part of WWE Network and Chill. But we get a big focus on ZZ on this episode. They keep on going back and forth to him. I was not a fan of ZZ on Tough Enough, so watching this for the first time, I was very anti-ZZ. Come on, ZZ, you can do it, ZZ. His father's saying, he's cheering him on. He's standing in the corner at ringside while ZZ's doing his shit in the ring. He's getting his cardio up, and ZZ's cardio sucks. I mean, the guy can be entertaining. He's got a personality, but the big thing about why he didn't win Tough Enough was that he was fucking lazy. And it has nothing to do with the fact that he's overweight or that he's fat. It has nothing to do with that. His cardio sucks, but the real kicker is that he never tries to really get better. And he would, and he's lost a lot of weight. They talked about him Breaking Ground Reloaded, which I'll talk about down the line, obviously. But he's just not coachable. Like I said earlier, it's the whole common theme throughout the show. He's just not freaking coachable because he's not doing what they're telling him to do. And he has a real beef, or not him, the other way around. If Robbie Brookside really bust his balls, or the other way around, I guess. ZZ bust his balls, and then Robbie Brookside has an issue. He has a beef with ZZ. He's like, you got to stop fucking around, dude. You got to stop goofing off. You really got to focus and get better because your cardio is already in the shitter as it is. If you don't get better, we're going to cut you. You're like, you don't belong here at all. So that was really eye-opening. You see ZZ really took that to heart, so we'll see how he progresses in the rest of the season. But seeing his family was interesting. So we see ZZ a little bit. We see Bayley a little bit more. Not too much. We'll get more in the life of Bayley as the show progresses. But we do get comments from Sarah Del Rey saying how driven she is. She's obviously the best of the women in NXT, which is really kind of a foregone conclusion considering that she was the champion at this point in time. So obviously she has to be the best. But we get a great glimpse into her, in her life as to how driven she is, how passionate she is, how hardworking she is. One of the many reasons I love Bayley. So we'll see more of Bayley as the show progresses. I already talked about this, the first foot forward thing. And then at the end of the episode, we have our promo class, which we kind of got a brief glimpse of in the first episode of Breaking Ground in the pilot. But this episode is not dealing with, or this edition of the promo class is not dealing with people already under contract. Like I said in the pilot episode, that promo class depicted Mojo Rawley and Noomph as works in progress. This one showed the crop of recruits, which, like I said, is the main focus of this episode, the tryout camps. And we hear promos from a variety of people. One kid doesn't even really say anything. I don't know if they cut out his promo or what. He's kind of a bigger guy. He has red hair. Someone says, can you dance? And he says, yeah, I can do the worm. He does the worm. He wins over the crowd. He wins over the freaking judges, and they pass him through to the next round, which was surprising as all hell just because he said nothing, and he did a freaking worm, and that's what won him over. So he had personality, and that was what kind of separated him from the rest of the pack. There was one guy who cut the same promo, the same cliche promo. I've been wanting to do this for 15 years, blah, blah, blah. And I've been training hard. I could bring this to the table, this and that, and whatever. And then Canyon Seaman, who, like I said, comes off like a dick, but he makes a great point here. He says, so, do you have any wrestling experience? And he said, no. And then he said, so when I met up with you 6 months ago, and you said you had no wrestling experience, I understood then. But you have since, in the 6 months since then, you have not gotten any wrestling training at all, and you're saying that you really want to work hard, and you're the best around at what you do? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, what you're saying doesn't really match, the words don't really match the actions. And that was what really did him in. The guy, obviously, needless to say, did not make it to the next round. So I'm passionate about what I do really does, as great of a promo as that is, it's really cliche when you're fighting up against, fighting for your spot up against 30, 40, 50 other people. So we kind of see a great example of that and how unauthentic the promo is. And that's really, again, a common concept, one of the key concepts of a great promo is being authentic. And they show the promo of one blonde woman, about, again, how passionate she is, how she's always really wanted to do this her whole life, that whole shtick. But she talks about how her father OD'd 2 months earlier. It didn't affect her. She's never done drugs, never will. And that's how that's only made her stronger. But not only about her, she's saying that she wants to become a WWE women's wrestler because she wants to show other people that just because she was raised that way doesn't mean she has to be that way. And she wants to share that lesson and show that to the rest of the NXT universe or whatever, the rest of the fan base. And that promo really got some great praise from the coaches. She obviously advanced the next round, so that was really cool to see. You gotta have emotion in your promos. If you don't show emotion, if you don't make yourself vulnerable, which can be painful to relive, past childhood memories or painful memories from your past, that's obviously asking a lot of somebody, but that's the hardest things to do are what will get you the biggest brownie points, the most brownie points. Not to say that you should make up a fake story about your dad dying or something, obviously. Don't really do it just to gain sympathy points, but do it because you have to be real. You have to be you. The unauthentic promos are just that. They're unauthentic, and it really shines through. I'm not saying this as like tips to become a WWE superstar, but that's basically what this show is. Breaking Ground. And in reviewing Breaking Ground, I will talk about what you need to do in order to become a great wrestler. Not that I really know, but the key concepts that WWE is hammering home through this show. So that was it. That was the first episode. I believe I have something else written down here. Oh, the process, and I already kind of talked about this, but you do see the officials sitting down: William Regal, Tensai, Sarah Del Rey, Canyon Seaman. I believe Gerald Briscoe's at the table too, probably a few others too. Also, Billy Gunn, all sitting down at the table saying, should she advance? Yes, she cut a great promo. Should he advance? No, he wasn't authentic, blah, blah, blah. The whole process, it's cool to see. And you kind of saw a little bit of that with Tough Enough. You saw a little bit of that with, what was it? The E60 special, which I forgot to talk about in my previous review of Breaking Ground, which was almost the pre-pilot of Breaking Ground, which aired back in the spring of 2015, focusing on Corey Graves, Xavier Woods, Adam Rose, all those guys. So that's kind of the same format, the same structure of this show as well. But the process is very cool to see. And just seeing these people as human beings, which is kind of the theme of the next episode of Breaking Ground, which I can't wait to watch and review right here on WWE Network and Chill, that the NXT crew goes on tour, I believe, to Texas. And you see the relationship of Carmella and Big Cass. You see a little bit more of Baron Corbin, kind of him coming out of his shell a little bit as a person. And then you realize, it's like, oh shit, these people are people. They're not just wrestlers. They're not just their characters on TV. They're freaking people. And that's some of the coolest things you could see from these characters, from these wrestlers, from these people on these shows, is breaking down that fourth wall. You got to show people things they've never seen before. And who would have thunk that showing people, presenting them as people, would be unprecedented, So I look forward to talking, watching, and reviewing that in episode 3 of Breaking Ground and the next episode of WWE Network and Chill. So this has been episode 2 of WWE Network and Chill. I would love to know if you guys enjoyed this episode, enjoyed the concept of the show, breaking down original content on the WWE Network. And as I said last time, if there's any shows, any specials you would like me to review, whether it be WWE 24, Swerved, Legends House, anything, Slam City, hopefully not, but anything that is an original program on the WWE Network, not including NXT, all the in-ring shit. Any programs like this that you want me to talk about, I will be surely open to suggestions right here on the channel, so be sure to leave a comment down below. Find me on Twitter, Facebook, all the socials are down below in the description box. And that is the second ever episode of WWE Network and Chill. So thank you guys for a great blockbuster week here on the YouTube channel of unveiling all these new shows out. Hashtag AskGSM, the random video blog, the Wrestle Rant radio excerpts, Wrestle Rant, WWE Network and Chill, all this other stuff. Thank you for all the continuous support. You guys are absolutely amazing. So have a great one, guys. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch you folks down the road.